China is a giant on the global stage with a huge economy, a massive population, and a formidable military. But behind the scenes, China is facing a series of economic problems that could threaten its future and stability. How did these problems start? How are they related? And what do they mean for China and the world? In this video, we're going to explore these questions and more and try to find some answers and solutions. China's economic rise has been nothing short of miraculous. Since the late 1970s, when it embarked on a series of market-oriented reforms, China has transformed itself from a poor and isolated country to a global powerhouse. According to the World Bank, China's GDP grew by an average of 9.5% per year from 1979 to 2019, lifting more than 800 million people out of poverty. China became the world's second-largest economy in 2010 and is expected to surpass the U.S. as the largest economy by 2028. However, in recent years, China's growth rate has been slowing down significantly. In 2020, China's GDP grew by only 2.3%, the lowest rate since 1976. This was partly due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which hit China hard in early 2020. However, even before the pandemic, China's growth rate had been declining steadily, over 10.6% in 2010 to 6.1% in 2019. The main reasons for the slowdown are the low returns and high risks of investment-led growth, which dominates China's economy. The difficulty of increasing consumption, which is low compared to other countries, is due to the high savings rate of Chinese households, and the challenge of becoming more innovative and productive as China nears the technological frontier. Another major problem that China faces is the high and rising debt level. According to an Institute of International Finance, China's total debt, including government, corporate, and household debt, reached 335% of GDP in 2020, up from 300% in 2019. This is higher than the debt levels of many developed and emerging economies, such as the U.S. 266%, Japan 256%, Germany 191%, and India 139%. China's debt problem has its roots in the massive stimulus package that the government launched in response to the global financial crisis of 2008-2009. To counter the slowdown in external demand, China unleashed a 4 trillion yuan, $586 billion stimulus plan, equivalent to 12.5% of GDP, which focused on infrastructure, real estate, and industrial projects. The stimulus plan boosted China's growth rate but also created a huge amount of debt, especially in the corporate and local government sectors. According to the Bank of International Settlements, China's non-financial corporate debt rose from 97% of GDP in 2008 to 165% of GDP in 2019. While China's local government debt rose from 23% of GDP in 2008 to 41% of GDP in 2019. Another major problem that China faces is its trade war with the U.S., which is the world's largest economy and China's largest trading partner. The trade war started in 2018 when the U.S. imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, citing unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft by China. China retaliated with tariffs on U.S. goods, and the two sides engaged in a series of tit-for-tat measures that escalated the trade conflict. Although the two sides reached a partial trade deal in 2020, known as the Phase 1 Agreement, many of the tariffs and disputes remain unresolved. The trade war has had negative impacts on both China and the U.S., as well as the global economy, such as loss of trade and output, disruption of supply chains and markets, and deterioration of relations and trust. Another major problem that China faces is its demographic crisis, which is a result of its aging population and shrinking workforce. China's demographic crisis is largely caused by its one-child policy, which was implemented in 1979 to control population growth. The one-child policy limited most couples to having only one child and imposed strict penalties for violating the rule. The one-child policy was relaxed in 2015, allowing couples to have 2 children, and was further relaxed in 2021, allowing couples to have 3 children. However, the relaxation of one-child policy has not reversed China's demographic trends, as many couples still prefer to have fewer or no children due to factors such as the high cost of living, the lack of childcare, and the preference for careers and lifestyles. According to the latest census data, China's population grew by only 5.4% from 2010 to 2020, the slowest rate since the 1950s. China's population is expected to peak at 1.44 billion in 2029 and then decline to 1.36 billion by 2050. China's population is also aging rapidly, as the share of people aged 65 and above rose from 8.9% in 2010 to 13.5% in 2020, and is projected to reach 26.3% by 2050. China's workforce, defined as a population aged 15 to 59, shrank by 6.8% from 2010 to 2020 and is expected to decline further by 23.2% by 2050. China's environmental crisis is caused by the rapid economic development, which has increased the demand for natural resources and caused severe pollution and climate change. China's air, water, and land are heavily polluted, affecting the health, food security, and quality of life of its people. China is also the world's largest emitter of the greenhouse gases and faces the risk of rising temperatures, extreme weather, rising sea levels, and biodiversity loss. China's environmental crisis also affects the economic and social development as it faces a trade-off between growth and environment and pressure and cooperation from the international community. China needs to balance its domestic and global interest and find a green and low-carbon development path. China also needs to improve its environmental governance and engage in constructive and collaborative dialogue in partnership with other countries. China's social and political crisis stems from the economic and social transformations and its conflicts with other countries. China faces various forms of inequality and discontent, such as income, regional, ethnic, and gender gaps, which lead to social problems and undermine its legitimacy. China also lacks human rights and democracy and faces criticism and pressure from the international community for its repression of dissent and minorities, especially in Xinjiang, Tibet, and Hong Kong. China also shows a strong nationalism and sovereignty and clashes with other countries over its territorial claims and interests, especially in the East and South China Seas, the Taiwan Strait, and the Himalayas. China's social and political crisis is driven by the economic and social transformations and its conflicts with other countries. China needs to reform and open up its social and political system to improve its governance, human right, and culture to unleash its creativity and potential. China also needs to dialogue and cooperate with the international community to reduce its tensions and disputes and to address its common challenges and interests on global issues such as climate changes, pandemics, and development. China also faces a demographic crisis, which affects its labor supply and quality, its pension and healthcare demand and cost, and its social and cultural fabric. China needs to cope with these challenges by improving its education, skills, and technology, reforming its pension and healthcare systems, and fostering a supportive social and cultural environment. Another major problem in China's social and political crisis is caused by the economic and social challenges, which have created various forms of inequality, corruption, and dissent in the society. These problems affect the social cohesion, trust, happiness, governance, efficiency, legitimacy, freedom, democracy, and human rights of the Chinese people. China's social and political crisis also poses challenges for its economy and society, such as loss of social capital and civic engagement, a risk of social unrest and instability, and a challenge of political reform and transition. These challenges affect the social welfare, innovation, resilience, security, order, harmony, future, direction, and destiny of China. China's economic problems are not insurmountable, but they require urgent and comprehensive solution. China has the potential and the capacity to overcome its problems, but it also faces significant obstacles and trade-offs. China needs to balance its short-term and long-term goals, its domestic and international interests, and its economic and social objectives. China needs to pursue a holistic and integrated approach that addresses the root causes and the interconnections of its problems, and that leverages the strengths and opportunities of its situation. China needs to adopt a vision and a strategy that are consistent with its values and aspirations, and that are responsive to the needs and expectations of its people. China faces various challenges and solutions in its economic, social, and political development. China needs to shift to more consumption-led and innovation-driven growth model, adopt a more prudent and proactive fiscal and monetary policy, engage in more constructive and cooperative dialogue and negotiation with its trading partners, adopt a more comprehensive and inclusive population policy, adopt a more green and low-carbon development strategy, and adopt a more democratic and participatory governance system. These measures aim to enhance China's efficiency, competitiveness, stability, growth, cooperation, integration, fertility, family, environment, climate, biodiversity, freedom, rights, transparency, accountability, rule of law, justice, civil society, and the public sphere. China's economic problems are not only challenges but also opportunities. They're challenges that test China's ability and willingness to adapt, innovate, and overcome the difficulties and risks that it faces. They're also problems that require China's cooperation and contribution to the rest of the world and that create possibilities and prospects for global development and cooperation. And that's it for this video. We hope you enjoyed watching it and learned something new. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get notified of our future videos. We have more amazing videos coming up, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.